year 2020-2021. And you can leave your phone on. That's possible because you will all be muted during this, this meeting. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You can use the chat function to chat between each other or with everyone. As you will be muted, you can use a raise your hand function to ask a question when possible. Just a quick reminder as well, video meeting is actually recorded for the club promotion and the social media. So please behave. President Dinesh, it is to you.
Thank you, JP. Honorary Member Bhagwan.
Yes.
Honorary Member Shifine. Past presidents, distinguished guests, fellow Rotarians. Good evening. Just before the start of this meeting, we were having a chat that we are going to complete the first month of this Rotary year, and today happens to be the last meeting of the first month. I think the first month for the new board, even for the new president, is very crucial. We have different emotions, sometimes anxious, but I think this has been completed and we were able to implement some of our plans, and I'm very glad that the members have accepted them, and we'll continue to improve and provide better experience in time to come. I would like to welcome all our guests together. And I know that some of you are the prospective member of our club. Thank you for coming. I'm not able to welcome you by individual names, and I'm sure your Rotarians or our members with whom you are coming or attending this meeting, I'm sure they'll acknowledge you and give you the warm welcome. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the meeting. We had of course one name, and that's brother of Joseph Chia, and is Dr. Chia Hock.
No.
Warm welcome to you. And may I now call upon past President Lipke to raise the toast for Rotary International.
President, sorry, our speaker has just entered. Melanie Cook is with us now. You might want to welcome her.
Yeah, it's my great pleasure to give a warm welcome to our speaker tonight, Melanie Cook. Warm welcome. Anyway, I'm not able to see you, but you said that she's there.
Yes.
And I think all of us are looking forward to hear. Okay, you will hear more about during her introduction. So I just leave it here. Once again, warm welcome, and thank you very much accepting our invitation to be the speaker tonight. And our meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. So there are many more Rotarians and guests outside Singapore are going to listen to your speech. Thank you very much once again. And again, now I would ask past President Lipke to raise the toast for our great institution, Rotary International. Past President Lipke, please.
Thank you, President Dinesh. It is usual for us to raise a toast to Rotary International, coupled with a toast to a visiting club. Unfortunately, I think there seems to be no official visiting club. I'd like to raise a toast now to Rotary International. To Rotary International.
Rotary International.
Rotary International.
Rotary International.
So may I now call upon Honorary Secretary Bridget to make the club announcements.
Yes. Where are club announcements? I had it somewhere and now it's gone. Here we go. Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, again, first announcement, the CSC meeting is not happening on the 30th of July, obviously, because it's the 5th week in this month. It's happening on the 6th of August on Zoom, 7 to 8 p.m. Luckily, I asked Director Irina before I sort of kicked this off. And then very importantly, we have directly after our speaker, Melanie, talks to us, and we have our extraordinary general meeting about to kind of kick off about 8:05, 8:10. And I please ask all members to stay on for the extraordinary general meeting, as we have to vote on 2 items in regard to the RI convention in Singapore in 2024. And all guests, we need to ask, please kindly log off, because the EOGM is for members only. And as I understood, because I basically checked it again, honorary members are also not eligible to vote. Ambassador members are. So we need to ensure that we only have voting members in the room for the extraordinary general meeting. We will conduct that very easily with the poll function on Zoom. And I will explain a bit later. It's very easy. You either have a choice to say yes or no to 2 different questions. So that's for later on after our talk this evening. That's for me.
Thank you, Honorary Secretary Bridget. Now I'll have to share my screen. Okay. Now I'm very pleased to introduce you a group which is the club's Almoner team or Almoner group, and that's the chair is PP Jimmy Wee, and the members are past President Peter Tan, President-elect Mealy, and Rotarian Jasbir Kaur. The team will be on the ground taking care of our members who are on need. And I think I had the information from PP Peter about past President Stan, and who had angioplasty last week. And he said he's well, and within a month he will hit the golf course with the extra shot per hole. But I also phoned him, and I spoke to him at 4 o'clock today. He's in high spirit, he looks good, and he said he'll be back to work within a week. So that's our Almoner team. Thank you, Jimmy, and past President Peter, President-elect Mealy, and Rotarian Jasbir for joining it. Birthdays and wedding anniversaries. I think there are a couple of Rotarians celebrating birthdays this week. Please join me and
Vincent, ilang kau Vincent O.
yes, please.
Second.
I think we have to mute. Okay, please join me to wish very, very happy birthday to honorary member PP Raymond Wang, James Lee, Ronald, all for 31st July. Past President Dr. Winston Ho, 1st of August. Oh, past President Mark, you are here.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. And Vijay Parwani, 2nd of August. And Michelle, 4th of August. Once again, to all of you, have a wonderful birthday. And now, the wedding anniversary. And we have Aarti here. Aarti, wish you many, many happy returns of the day. congratulations on your wedding anniversary. Please.
Thank you.
Welcome. Nice to see you. And not only Aarti and your hubby Nielsen, both of you.
Thank you so much for the wishes. It's good to be here on the meeting.
Thank you, Aarti. And next is our new segment, which is not new anymore, is the Kaifer time. And I would now call upon Rotarian Elizabeth Chi. She joined the club not so long ago. She's going to complete, I think, the first year very soon. Elizabeth will speak about herself, and I will give you Elizabeth.
Thank you, President Dinesh, and thank you, Honorary Secretary Bridget, for inviting me to speak or give a little introduction of myself. So I hope
Yes, I will just.
Oh, okay. I'm also trying to share my screen to see.
You should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It's working.
I'm sharing screen, but let's see.
Because I can't.
Enjoy.
You should already be a co-host. Sonali, did you make Elizabeth co-host?
No, I'm just
Because I can't see the function here. Stop videos, allow record, put in waiting room. Technology sometimes is a bit challenging, always still. Otherwise, let me see.
It's better to share on yours to look at you.
Yeah, let me see if I find it.
I can help if you would like.
I can help. Here you go.
Please.
You just need to tell me when to move on, and then I click for you.
Okay. Is it on your screen now, Bridget?
Yes, it's my screen now. You see, everybody sees?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Excellent.
So, good evening, everyone. Yeah, so I have just been about 9 months old with the club, relatively young or new actually. But actually my connection with the club goes back to the 80s when I was a Rotary actor. So I'm born and studied in Singapore, but I've left Singapore for close to 30 years since March 90, only returning to Singapore in November 2016. Lived in Sydney for 3 years, Hong Kong 18 years, and Shanghai 6 years before coming back to Singapore. And I have worked with, my first career was with Ernst & Young as an auditor. Then I moved on to work with GEC in Australia. And after that, I have been in the cosmetics industry for years. So L'Oreal, I've been working with L'Oreal, 18 years actually in Hong Kong and with L'Oreal. And then went on to Clarence in Shanghai in 2011. That's when we took over the distribution from a distributor and started to work or set up our own subsidiary over there. So I was there to set up the subsidiary. I was there 6 years and then moved back to Singapore to run the regional operations. So I'm now the deputy GM with Clarence Singapore, actually the regional office, so covering the APAC countries. So regional role gives me the opportunity to, sorry, is it okay because I hear some echo?
No, let me.
Fine. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, good. So regional role means I have to travel like 30% of the time, but I would say thanks to COVID, managed to make one trip this January, and then have been staying here, which is quite rare, but is good. It gives some sanity to be in Singapore for a while. So yeah, so short, that's it. So next slide, please, Bridget. Okay, so that's my family. I have a son and a daughter. My husband is a Hong Konger actually, so he came over to Singapore. That's how we met. And so my husband first, he is now retired and moving between the three places where we are. My son is a lawyer in Hong Kong. My daughter is a chartered accountant in Sydney, and I'm here in Singapore. So my husband is moving around three places. So we appointed him as our Director of Home Affairs. So he's looking after three of us now. Yeah, so that's why when we meet, is ready for multi-purpose. We meet for holiday, for reunion, and the bonding. So yeah, whenever we meet at least once a year in order to catch up. And as much as possible to do some outdoor activities. Next, Bridget. Thank you. Yeah, that's the one. Thank you. So, of course, work makes us all very busy, but we try to have a work-life balance. And I must say, Clarence is nice. It's a good company. Any of you interested? I really, if there's interested in Clarence, I mean, in any to with us, it's a great company, you know, because we try to make to enable work-life balance for the staff. So you see us, we try to integrate fun with work. Yeah, just some of the photos to share with you, the happy memories we have each time when we have a seminar or any kind of event with the company. Next, please, Bridget. Yeah, so I've got varied interests. Definitely food tasting is on top of the list. And I like hiking. That's why I like Hong Kong really a lot, and Australia, because it gives me opportunities to hike. Cycling, flower arrangement, and nature. Basically, I like nature a lot. Next, please.
Yeah.
Next, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let me try to see my slide. Right. So what I believe in, I like this saying here on George Clooney's photo. So it says, life is not about being rich or popular or being highly educated or perfect. It's about being real, humble, and kind. And kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. It resonates very well also with, I mean, I'm sure with many of us, and also with my company values, one of which is kindness, respect. And the last two shots here, you see positive thinking does not always change our circumstances, but it will always change us. People with great passion can make the impossible happen. This is what I share a lot with my team, because you know things are not always easy, yeah, it's positive thinking, it's the passion, it's the can-do spirit that you know get us going. So finally, the last slide. Thanks, Bridget. Yeah, so Rotary involvement. So in my 9 months, and sorry, I can't participate in everything because of the travel, but as much as I could, I tried to join. So the first photo, as you can see, with Bianca, we were at the community service. I think that's the old folks from the old folks home in Katong, and we were at the zoo, I think. Yeah, and then definitely enjoyed the fellowship at the Zumba dance at past President Deepak's place. Really enjoyed very much. And also in a couple of vocational services activities, as well as the last photo you see there, past President Mark with my son on his right. I was trying to get my son to attend or to know what Rotary is about and see if he's interested to join us in Hong Kong. Yeah, so looking forward to more activities with the club, and as soon as the circuit breaker is over. So that's it, a short introduction of myself. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Thank you,
I stop sharing now. Handing back to President. You need to unmute yourself, please.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We know more about you now.
Thank you.
And now it's the speaker time, future of education. It's a hot topic today. I'm sure all of us are waiting for the speaker, Melanie Cook, who will speak on the future of education. Please ask question on Zoom chat. And our Honorary Secretary, Bridget, will coordinate the question answer session. It's my pleasure now to ask Pia Bruce to introduce our speaker. Pia.
It's my pleasure to introduce Melanie Cook for tonight. And Melanie is a futurist who considers herself an educator, systems thinker, and tech humanitarian. She has deep debates with others about the operational impact of artificial intelligence, or AI, and she's focusing on the workplace of tomorrow by figuring out what needs to be done today in different contexts. So she started in data management in London, and the majority of her career has been shaped by innovation of digital technologies. Swiftly navigating the rapidly evolving terrains of data management and digital marketing, she has anchored herself in digital business transpopulation, the reality of digital transformation. I'm looking forward to her telling us more about that. And the Creative Business School, Hyper Island, where she guides students through times of extraordinary disruption in different industry. Over to Melanie now.
Thank you very much, Pia. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Oh, that was a lovely introduction. And it was nice to get to know people, because sometimes when you're doing talks, you know, you don't get to learn about people's birthdays and anniversaries and new members. So it was a lovely introduction. Thank you very much for that. I am going to talk today about future education. So my view is that the future of education can be a little bit abstract, a little bit untouchable. So what I really would love to talk about with everyone today is future education. So what are we actually going to do? As mentioned, Hyper Island is a creative business school, and I'll take the opportunity at the end to talk to you about what we do. But we very much concentrate on executive education, and there are a lot of articles and blogs and TED Talks, amazing thinking around children and maybe higher education, but there's less so around executive education. So I thought what we could do today, and I hope everyone is up for this, is to have a little bit of an interactive session about not generically about the future of education, of course, of where education is going. As Pia mentioned, or somebody mentioned, forgive me, I think it was you, the president, that mentioned it. Please do ask questions on chat. You can ask those anytime all the way through. I will also be asking you to do a few things, which is very Hyper Island, because no talk is a good talk without a little bit of interactivity. So what I would ask you is to step out and be a little bit bold, and come on the journey with me around future education. So without further ado, I will share my screen with everyone. I'm just going to share my whole screen because it's easier for me to do that. And then I will swap into the correct things. Please do yell if you can't see my screen. I can't actually see the chat. So if you do have a question, feel free to raise it or to just voice out or raise it in chat. Please do interrupt me. I'm wholly interruptible. Okay, so let's get to the first thing. Okay, so at Hyper Island, we have a tradition of starting meetings, much like I now understand you also have your rituals and traditions. And we always start meetings with a tool called I Do Art. And I Do Art stands for the intention, that's I. Do is the desired outcome. And art stands for A for agenda, R for roles and responsibilities, and T for time. And that just allows us, it just gives me an idea of how much time I have and how I would love for you to be able to participate. So just in terms of the intention, I've talked about that, you know, I would like to make this more personal if I can. And I feel very comfortable doing that now, given the stories I've heard and the celebrations we have celebrated. The desired outcome is really to empower you as professionals, either in the mid of your career or the highlight of your career, to upskill and to understand perhaps where you should be going if you are looking to upskill. The roles, as I said, please, you know, I'm wholly interruptible. Please do chip in. And I will aim to finish, I believe Bridget mentioned, at about 8:05. So sometimes if a question goes on a bit, I might have to move us along a little bit. But I'm really happy to take questions after your meeting. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'll share that with you as well. So please do yell. Okay, so let me get into our first activity. Okay, I am going to stop sharing for a moment so I can see the chat, and I am going to ask everyone to click into this link here. Okay, and I will tell you what to do. It's very easy. You should just be able to click into it from chat. If you can't, then double click on it, copy it, and then put it into your browser. And what we're going to do now, so I will continue to share now. My screen is share. Okay. Just going back to it. Aha, okay. You should, if you are able to click into that link, you should see this. Can you see this page? Yes, Bridget. Thank you for the nod, Bridget. And Elizabeth, I can see you too. So if you just can nod when if I ask a question, that would be great as well. Okay. So what I would like everyone to do is I would like you to share with me a teacher that you remembered from your childhood and how they made you feel. You know, what was their impact on you? So I'm going to show you how this is done. If you go down towards the plus button here and you click on it, it will come up with a box. So I'm going to put Mrs. Dalton because She was a teacher I would never forget. Dalton. And then in the write something space, I'm going to write, and she really opened up the world to me. She opened up the world to me. So, and there he goes. So that's my card. So if you can do that, I see some people already adding. This is fantastic. So why are we doing this? As you add, I'll talk you through it a little bit. We suddenly, you know, nearly all of us have one teacher that we absolutely remember. And what I think sometimes reflecting on the impact that our education has had on us is something we don't do often enough. And actually, it's not done often enough by educators as well. But given COVID and the extreme change we are having, we want to change and we want to remain up to date, but we don't want to lose the things that made our teachers special to us. So that's why we're going to go through this. So I'm going to just go through some. So Mr. George Rubin, for example, because if I did not complete my homework, he would toss my exercise book out the window. Tough love. Yes, very much so. And Mrs. Chawla, she taught us civic sense and a knowledge. And that knowledge is not about education. Many educators owe a debt of gratitude to Mrs. Chawla for that. Mrs. Amy Lim, she gave me the confidence and made me believe in my abilities. Wow, that's a really powerful place to be. Mr. Aaron Lowe, most inspiring and knowledgeable fund manager I've ever met. You see, that's lovely. So we also have teachers as mentors. It doesn't necessarily need to go back into our childhood. Mr. Lai, he taught me to be responsible and having influence on my work and ethics. And it's interesting because we will go into mindset as well as we go through this. And then finally, now I may not say this right, Mr. Rahman, sorry if I say that wrong, he's someone's math teacher. He taught me not to give up at failures, absolutely, right? A failure is only a failure if you don't learn from it. So there's so much richness here that we don't want to throw away as we transform education, and transform we must. So what I will do now is go back into the presentation. You can keep adding as we go, so please don't feel that this is the end of the activity. It doesn't go anywhere. Just keep adding and we can always come back to it if we have time. Okay, so for the future of education, let's get into it. And now I should do some work and not have you do all the work. All right. So so then this happened, and it sort of it didn't sneak up on us. It sort of it came like a big steam train and bowled us all over. And of course, I'm talking about COVID here. And what I want to talk about now, before I go any further, can you see yourselves on my screen? Or can you only see my screen? I have a small window of all of you. No? Can you see yourselves? Is it covering any of the screen? If it is, please do yell and I'll close it up. It's just I like to see the audience when I'm talking to them.
Oh, that's fine. It's good.
It's all fun. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so COVID happened and basically everything was turned upside down, right? And when we first started, we thought, oh, okay, we need to go into lockdown. And honestly, I think everyone except the top researchers thought that, you know, we will go into lockdown, it will be put away, we will, you know, we'll contain it, and then life will go on as normal. So most of us saw lockdown, remote working, remote learning, remote culture building as something that's going to happen a long time away. You know, it's going to happen for a short time, and then given a couple of months, we would probably go back to the normal way of working. Unfortunately, we have now seen, as we are in second waves in many of the US states, in many of the European countries and Asian countries, that the predictions of the very clever people at Imperial College has said this, you know, COVID will continue to come into waves until we find a vaccination that can get to everyone, or enough people at least to get us herd immunity. Right. So this has had a huge impact on education as a whole. So education has been noted as one of the industries that are likely to fail, just behind travel and hospitality, actually. And so when I first saw this as managing director of Asia Pacific for Hyper Island, I was terrified. You know, I was just like, I cannot see the future here. What are we going to do? I was really worried mainly about, you know, without us, people don't get rice bowls on their table. And so what are we going to do? And we sort of got together, and what we did is we created a COVID emergency response strategy. And that emergency response entailed us adapting both our business model and our academic model. And it entailed all of us as faculty members, it entailed all of us reskilling and upskilling. And you know what? We've had a really, really positive business figures to it. So the reason I'm setting this up is because I want to show you that in this disruption, it is possible to thrive. So we have doubled our revenue figures, increased our profit, increased our cash, you know, our bank balance, which was really important in times of uncertainty. And I thought what we would do is I would use this case study to talk you through how industries as a whole that are going to go through disruption because of COVID has got around this as well. And I wonder if somebody isn't on mute. I wonder if one of the hosts could mute everyone except me, or if you could go on mute, that would be great. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on here. So what did we do? We upskilled very quickly. We moved our accredited, subsidized, deeply steeped into government funding courses that were all face-to-face in a classroom online. And we did that in a matter of, our first pilot went out within 3 weeks. And we had to do that whilst reskilling. And it turns out that a lot of learning and development directors have said exactly the same thing. They have said, is that okay? Yeah. Thank you. And they have said that actually 40% of their workforce have already had to reskill. Right? So educators have a huge job in helping people to reskill. And actually, it's not just educators that have that job. It's also yourselves. It's also yourselves as people who are taking responsibility for remaining relevant and for thriving in this new never normal, as it's going to start being called. And it's your responsibility as managers and business people in the middle of your career. And so what we did, and what I'd really like to share with everyone is this, right? Because we believe, and this is our teaching, that every person that is going to go through a career transformation of some sort, or business that's going to go through a career transformation, need to go through these. Need to have these 5 lenses, as we call it. So they need to be human-centered. They need to be able to leverage digital technologies. They need to be able to work within a transformation economy. So that means, you know, moving from just selling and transactional buying of products and services to one that actually helps people transform into what they really, really want to become. They need innovation, and probably people as senior as yourselves, I suspect, if many of you are like Elizabeth, you know, I suspect you're also going to have to lead the change, because there are a lot of people that would be relying on senior people like yourselves to do that. So how has education started to do that, right? And so like I said, I'm giving you the example of how the education industry has started to do that, but this really applies to any sort of transformation. So human-centered, that means change starts from a human needs lens, right? Like for example, the first thing we looked at was our cash. Right? In uncertain times, you need a decent cash in your cash flow in your bank, right? Cash becomes king in uncertain times. And the reason we said cash was because we recognized we needed to make sure that we could continue to pay people. We could continue to save lives as well as livelihood, as the new Prime Minister Lee said, right? That was his mandate to all business leaders. We need to save lives and livelihood. So even though the outcome was us being very, very clear with our cash flow, the reason we did that is that it was a very human need of keeping each other safe and protecting us. Digital technology. So we looked, because before, right, when we were face to face, to be honest, we used to, well, not laugh, but we used to say, oh, you know, Coursera and LinkedIn Learning, that's not true learning, that's just knowledge transfer. You know, we were a little bit maybe despondent about online learning, because we didn't know that it can be done better. And we didn't realize how digital technologies could actually not only scale knowledge transfer, but actually scale impact of learning. And we've used that through things like, so we're using communication things like Zoom and WhatsApp, exactly as you guys are, to bring learners in. But of course, we have, what we're doing is, because we're all online, we can now have data treasure hunts to bring data-driven decision-making together. We can have murder mysteries that we have created in order to explain to people about unstructured data. What we have done there is actually utilize the disruptive digital technologies out there, the ones that we thought, oh, you know, they're further down the line, they'll never disrupt us because, you know, we have a really good faculty and a really good reputation. We actually brought them into the fold and figured out how we are doing that. Now, there are many schools that are not doing that, and I suspect they're going to suffer, because you're going to have the likes of Google and Grab and Alibaba. We already have Google in Singapore that are coming into the education space, right? So the future of education is likely to be led by Facebook and Google and Alibaba, and not academics, because it makes you more employable. Right? So that's another way you need to be looking at your industries as you figure out the disruption that, and your careers as you just figure out the disruption you may or may not be going through. The next thing, the transformation economy, right? This is change through an organizational lens. It's about thinking out of the box. It's not enough just to get the product to someone. We now need to really, really understand what that person wants to achieve and be more to them than just the product, especially in this digital age where we can't get eye to eye to people, certainly in service industries and in retail, for example, where we can't, get that relationship with people. We need to prove to people as organizations we can go beyond that. So this is why, in terms of education, what you will be seeing is actually the vocational courses will come much be much more rich and much more demanded than perhaps the less vocational ones, the ones that traditionally people thought, oh yes, that I should go with that, the classic ones, because we realize as educators now that actually people go through education because they want a job and they want to secure the future of their family and themselves. So that is through an organizational change. Through innovation, well, there is no doubt we cannot leave the research, the kind of guessing what's going to happen in the future, to those really brainy people in Imperial College and MIT and Harvard, Kennedy School, right? We need to become that. And the way we become that is to actually allow innovation and entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship, if you're part of a big organization, and do the things exactly as some of our teachers reminded us on the Padlet, right? You need to experiment because it's not a failure. It's not a failure, it's a learning as you go forward. That's the only way, I'm telling you, I'm able to be here as the managing director of Asia Pacific for Hyper Island. It's the only reason I'm here is because we just said none of us know the answer, so we're going to decide on an experiment and we're going to do it. We said we scenario planned and we said we believe this is what's going to happen. We believe that actually the lockdown is going to go on beyond a couple of months. There will be different waves. And therefore, what is our answer? What is now our product and service? Because our product and service no longer relevant. So we used innovation to do that. And then, I had to put this in leading, and I'm sure many of you are already doing this, adapting and shaping to the never normal. The problem with the never normal, right? We now know this year it's the pandemic. Next year, in the next 6 months, probably crossing over, we're going to have to deal with climate migrants. Soon after that, we're going to have a big problem around cybersecurity. Soon after that, or maybe sooner than we could possibly guess, we will have a Cold War between the US and China. If you think we are never, ever going to go back to normal again, the good times have rolled. And that means as leaders, we need to learn to adapt to the continuously changing circumstances, but also take the lead in changing, in shaping those people who are following us, who have put their faith in us to continue to shape their career and grow them as they go through their careers in this uncertain time. And we have done that. I have done that. I have taken on the responsibility of doing that for Hyper Island. Many educators now. You will see, if you just need to go on to LinkedIn Learning, for example, right? And put in there how to lead in a remote world. There are tons and tons of resources out there that would allow you to learn how to do this in a remote world. So educators are stepping up to the mark wonderfully, and many companies as well that are going through transformation will have to do this for their people. So okay. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through this, but what I have created is really a list of things, of attributes. I'm going to call them attributes or capabilities that you should ensure you have if you're going to go into a learning journey, whether you're going to go into a personal learning journey or a learning journey for your organization. If the learning journey doesn't tick most of these attributes, then you should keep looking. Look a little bit harder, or negotiate with whomever you're talking to and encourage them maybe to bring in these attributes into their learning journey. I will send a PDF out, and then you can have a look at this in more depth. And if anybody has any questions, as I said, I will leave you my LinkedIn and details, and so you can always come back to me there. But I don't want to I don't want to eat into your meeting time. Okay. So to survive, as you know, and rightfully so, governments across the world, including Singapore, are very much supporting people. So, you know, the news just out, I don't know if you've managed to read the Straits Times this evening, but they're already saying that, for example, more people this quarter than ever have lost their jobs, right? So upskilling is essential, and an essential part of that upskilling is mind shift, right? So here we have a quote, and I think it's really worth reading it out. A shift in mindset is necessary for business to transform digitally in order to survive the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And this change must come from both employers and employees. In fact, attitudinal training, the building of a good mindset towards embracing change, is just as important as skills training. So I hope you see that the 5 things that I brought up earlier as to the future education also doesn't just talk about skills, it also talks about mindset shifts as well there. Just going to take 5 minutes to talk to us, to talk to you about Hyper Island, if I may. So Hyper Island, we're a creative business school, and we are really at the in the middle of business, technology, and creative innovation. You can look at us as any of our learning journeys are part Harvard Business School, part Central St. Martin's, and part MIT. We bring this all together because we concentrate on teaching people in mid-year or mature, mid-career or mature in their career. Hyper Island was actually founded as a school to give people second chances, and today it's still one of our key driving factors, as it is for the Rotary Club. You know, I was so impressed by the work you do to give people a chance who are not necessarily as privileged as all of us. So in this time, privilege remains with millennials right now, and people like us in our mid or mature career are probably the ones that need to adapt, build new capabilities and seek out new opportunities, and that's what Hyper Island are there to do. I just want to talk a moment about thriving. So we talked about survival and L&D. So thriving, it's really important, and these are in accordance with the WEF, so the World Economic Forum skills for the 20th century. It's really important that we figure out very quickly and we adopt creative problem solving and innovation. We learn how to improvise, we learn to experiment, we learn to see something that doesn't work as not a failure, but a learning. We need to then adopt this resilience and apply our self-awareness and accept that this never normal is coming. I only named a few things that are already on the horizon that we've seen. There are many, many more that we haven't talked about, in order to really understand what's happening, so we can use our creative ability to drive and lead our people and the industries we're in forward. I would be remiss not to talk about our masters. Our master's course, it's a part-time course, and it's all online for now. It's going to go blended as soon as we can. But our master's course really touch on those key things that I talked about. And if anybody is interested in learning more about our master's course, because it takes you through human centricity, it takes you through the digital technologies and how it's going to disrupt industries or is disrupting industries. It will help you with business transformation, how to become an innovator, how to scenario plan, and how to lead as well. So if anyone is interested, again, my LinkedIn details are here, and they will be on the PDF as well. So please do connect with me at any time. I would love to speak to you more. And I think that's me. And do I hand it over to Brigitte again?
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Thank you. We have a number of innovative ideas, and something new for me is that new normal becomes the never normal. Okay, we are very short of time, so we still let's see if we may not take all the questions, but I'll just open for question answer. If there are, leave it to our honorary secretary, Bridget. Please select some 1 or 2 questions and see and get the answer from Melanie. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, President. I think Sudhir has a question. Sudhir, are you in the audience? I think the question is very, very, very relevant. Would you want to kind of post it or ask it rather yourself?
I'm not sure if I'm audible, Brigitte.
Yes, you are absolutely wonderful. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so good evening to everyone. My question is that how do we handle empathy on an online learning platform?
Yes, it's like the $1 million question, right? We have just gone through a diversity, inclusion, and belonging journey. In fact, we are doing it now. And what we realize is empathy cannot be created whilst business is being done. So what we need to do is actually create space for empathy to be built. So for example, at Hyper Island, the team meets twice a day. That sounds like so much. But you know, we have some young faculty members who are living alone. Or other faculty members who are basically confined to their room because their children are running about outside. So turning structures and giving people points of contact throughout the day will build empathy. But the biggest thing I would say is that you need to think about how you build empathy outside your daily course of work. And I can talk to you again about that further if you'd like, Sudhir, because it's really a topic that's very close to my heart, and I would love to have that conversation with you. And I promise not to sell you the master's degree either. It would be a very generous conversation, I promise.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you very much.
Bridget.
I think there's so far there are no more direct questions here. So I believe it was very, if we share the slides, and I think as Melanie suggested, everybody can directly get in
Vijay,
touch.
can I ask one question?
Sure, of course, Suresh. So,
Yeah, okay,
please
thanks.
go ahead.
Melanie, you were talking a lot about skills future. Skills future, the emphasis has been on vocational skills. How do you teach people on the job training without during this COVID period? I mean, just theoretical training doesn't help in skills development. For skills development, you need a hands-on training. So how do they manage?
You're absolutely right. So we are concentrating on the digital world, and we're doing things like, as I mentioned, the data treasure hunt. For example, so we're doing a data treasure hunt to get people to understand that there's data everywhere. So what we're doing is adopting a learning by doing, a learning by application approach. So we always have an actual problem that we're looking to solve. For example, we don't just go through the theory, so it's never. It should never, a learning journey in this environment should never be 80% looking at knowledge, 20% discussing it. It should be 20% looking at knowledge and receiving knowledge, and 80% reflecting, discussing, trying it out. So for example, agile ways of working, which you could argue is a skill, we actually get people to create a product. And that would be my recommendation to you if you are looking to implement something that requires skills, is actually to get people to build something. So for example, if we need to get people physical things, so if you're talking about physical things, you know, it might be an artificial intelligence course where you want them to build a robot. We have been sending out packets to people with all the stuff they need in order to build physical things, for example. But otherwise, it's amazing how much creative thinking can be applied to what's already on the internet in order to help people actually put their learning into action immediately. Does that answer your question, Suresh?
That is more from the digital world. I'm talking about the other skills, non-digital skills.
Could you give me an example?
Oh, like plumbing, you wanted to take a mechanic or a motor mechanic, he has to do a hands-on job to learn. Yeah. Or you want to be a carpenter or anything, these skills you need upskilling.
Yes.
Digital world is okay, but non-digital is difficult.
Yes, it is difficult. And I suspect what's going to happen is that you're going to see a split in education where you have the vocational people like you talk about, and this includes artists and dancers, you know, it includes the arts as well, that need a physical space to be together. But even then, you know, there are schools in Singapore right now that are teaching plumbing online. They're just asking people to, okay, you know, bring us with you as you go and look at a pipe, or you go and look at how to fix it. So there's going to be it needs redesign, but it is possible actually to bring things together. So we're teaching artificial intelligence and robotics online, but people are building things offline.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you.
We need to kind of, I mean, we could, I think, discuss further and further, but in the interest of time, I think we need to kind of come to a close. President, I hand over back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bridget. So now I'll call upon Rotarian Ashish Khaneja to give a word of thanks. Ashish.
Ashish, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now yes. Perfect.
Thank you, Melanie, for completely obliterating my expectations from the talk today. As someone who's been dabbling with technology for more than 22 decades, actually, I was completely fascinated by your insights and your ability to personalize and bring alive the various aspects of the future of education. And whilst we all realize how disruptive this current crop of technologies has been on education, it has been accelerated by the realities of COVID over these past 5 months. A lot of learning technologies that awaited social acceptance have drawn into immediate acceptance due to the need for children being at home. So this was, in that sense, a very timely topic, especially for parents with young children and growing children who are flooded with technological influence. And honestly, what amazed me was your ability to personalize the topic of artificial intelligence and make it easily understandable to all of us today. I would also like all our Rotary members who have found interest in this talk to reach out for your TED talk that you gave last year at the TED Singapore Women's event. It was an absolute watch for me, and I'm sure a lot of parents with young children would love to watch it as well. It was a talk that was titled Accidental Automation of Motherhood. It was a TED talk which unfolds the amazing journey of motherhood, while you, Melanie, make a bold prediction about the impact of technology in the future of parenthood. For me, it was a very vivid enactment where you explored digital motherhood and you shared your personal experiences of navigating technology with your child. So thank you once again, Melanie, for helping us understand and bridge the gaps in our understanding on how education is being transformed and will further get transformed by artificial intelligence. I would like to, on behalf of the Rotary Club and our president, Dinesh, thank you for joining us today, and we wish you all the very success with your Hyper Island venture as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.
Next week, our speaker will be Arun Sharma, business consultant, keynote speaker, and who will speak on monetize your assets.
Monetize your talent, not the asset.
Monetize your talents, sorry. Okay. Thank you, Bridget. And now, before we go to the next program, I would like to welcome PDG Gimbok Chiu, who has joined. He's raising hands. Thank you very much for coming in. And PDG Filbert. And I think we have many.
Sorry, President. Do you want everyone? Because are we now moving over to the EOGM? Because
no, I'm going to give back to you. Just
we say goodbye.
Do we need to say goodbye to our guests? That's my simple question.
Goodbye.
The guests will have to say goodbye to them, of course.
That's so that we get it right. So I think now we just moving over to our extraordinary general meeting.
Big hands to Melanie.
Yes, of course. I think we all can get in touch with her. Yes. So I need to do a quick check if all guests have left now. I think Peter Brock, can I ask you to kind of log off?
Yes, I'm going to log off now. So thank you again.
We'll see you soon as a member. I know that